and welcome to another episode of Sleep and Relax ASMR. This episode, we dive back into some weird and wonderful random facts for your pleasure. So, I collected 49 very strange, very weird facts from bestlifeonline.com. And they were generous enough to let us use some of this. So, with that in mind, let's dive into 49 of some of the weirdest and most wonderful facts that I could find. Fact number 1. Children of identical twins are genetically siblings, not cousins. Cousins whose parents are identical twins share 25% of their DNA instead of the usual 12.5%. While full siblings share 50% of their DNA, half siblings share 25%. That's why, though children of identical twins are legally cousins, they are genetically the equivalent of half siblings. What do you think about that one? 2. A giant tortoise, thought to be extinct for 100 years, was recently discovered in the Galapagos. Due to the fact that there hadn't been a sighting of a Fernandina giant tortoise in more than 100 years, scientists believed that we had lost them. However, in February 2019, an adult female was spotted around Fernandina Island in the Galapagos. Scientists also found bite marks on nearby cacti that leads them to suspect that other tortoises may be in the area too. Wacko Tapia, director of the Giant Tortoise Restoration Initiative at the Galapagos Conservancy, released a statement saying, quote, "To find a living tortoise on Fernandina Island is perhaps the most important find of the century. Now we just need to confirm the genetic origin of this female. She is old, but she is alive." End quote. 3. The Goodyear blimp is the official bird of Redondo Beach, California. The Goodyear blimp is nothing short of iconic, but we wouldn't say it could be classified as a bird. Still, that didn't stop Redondo Beach, a coastal city situated near the Goodyear blimp's home airport in Carson, California, from passing a resolution in 1983 to make the blimp its official bird. 4. Prisoners of war in Canada during World War II didn't want to leave. Of the 35,046 German soldiers, sailors, airmen, and potential insurgents that were incarcerated in Canada during World War II, a whopping 6,000 didn't want to leave after the war ended in 1945, according to Canada's Military History magazine. At these Canadian camps, prisoners were given paying jobs and were able to enjoy handball, boxing, wrestling, gymnastics, tennis, skating, and more activities. There was also mutual respect and trust between the guards and the prisoners. Shockingly, some guards would even loan prisoners their rifles to go hunting. It's no wonder one prisoner referred to his time there as, quote, "the best thing that has ever happened to me," end quote. And I lived in Canada for a while, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time there as well. Very genuinely kind people, and winter was a little too cold for my taste, but wonderful place. Number 5. It would only take 1 hour to drive to space. If you got into your car, turned on the ignition, and drove up to the sky at 60 miles per hour, it would take just 1 hour to get to outer space, according to astronomer Fred Hoyle. Of course, that's if you could drive on a vertical angle and all, but it's fun to think about, I suppose. 6. A cornflake in the shape of Illinois, sold on eBay for $1,350. In 2008, two Virginia sisters found a cornflake that was shaped like the state of Illinois and sold it on eBay for $1,350. Goodness. Monty Kerr, the owner of a trivia website from Austin, Texas, was the buyer and explained that he wanted a special piece of cereal for his traveling museum. Quote, "We're starting a collection of pop culture and Americana items," he told the Associated Press. "We thought this was a fantastic one," end quote. It's amazing the kind of stuff that you will find on eBay. And there's some wonderful items on eBay, but I think that's kind of what holds eBay back in the eyes of most consumers is on eBay, you want to get something legitimate, but then you hear about a cornflake being sold for $1,000+. You know, it's like the other day, there was some concert. I don't remember for what. Like maybe Lollapalooza or something like that. And yeah, people were bagging air. I think they do this every year. It was Lollapalooza. It was the one that's in California. Anyway, I forget exactly what the event was, but people would just open a bag of air or open a plastic bag and then they close it, a Ziploc bag, and then they say that they captured air from, whatever. Insert famous artist at the time here's concert, and they try to sell that for a couple $1,000. Doesn't make any sense to me. Number 7. The amount of copper on the Arizona Capitol building roof is equivalent to nearly 5 million pennies. The copper roof of Arizona's Capitol building in Phoenix is undeniably impressive, especially once you learn that it's the equivalent of 4.8 million pennies. That's a heck of a lot of pocket change. That's what they wrote at me. Fact number 8. Squirrels are behind most power outages in the U.S. The American Public Power Association, APA, not to be confused with ABBA, says that squirrels are the most frequent cause of power outages in the U.S. The APPA has even developed a data tracker called the Squirrel Index, TSQI, that analyzes the patterns and timing of squirrels' impact on electrical power systems. Turns out the peak times of the year for squirrel attacks are from May to June and October to November. Typically, the squirrels cause problems by tunneling, chewing through electrical insulation, or by becoming a current path between the electrical conductors. There you go. Squirrels are kind of adorable from a distance, but the more you learn about them, the more you kind of consider that they are kind of like just cute rats in terms of how they are. They can be kind of vicious as well, actually. So, fact number 9. A cloud can weigh more than 1,000,000 pounds. Clouds are not as light and fluffy as they appear. In fact, researchers have found that a single cloud weighs about 1.1 million pounds. How do they know? Well, that number is calculated by taking the water density of the cloud and multiplying it by its volume. Fortunately, the cloud can still, quote, float at that weight because the air below it is even heavier. Think about that. Fact number 10. The Apollo 11 crew used hundreds of autographs as life insurance. Neil Armstrong and the Apollo 11 crew faced the real chance they wouldn't return from the moon safely, leaving their families without financial support. Due to the extreme danger that they were about to face, they couldn't take out life insurance policies, so instead they signed hundreds of autographs, which their families would have been able to sell if they didn't make it home. Luckily, those life insurance autographs weren't needed. They do, however, show up in a space memorabilia auction today. They show up in space memorabilia auctions today, selling for as much as $30,000. I recently saw the film Last Man with Ryan Gosling playing Neil Armstrong, and it's pretty good, yeah. I wonder if he was as kind of stoic as Gosling plays him in the film, but you kind of think about how courageous you have to be to go through a mission that, the chances of success are, I don't know if they're as small as the film wanted you to think, but, certainly it wasn't a guarantee they were coming back, so. Interesting that I'm reading this fact about the autographs shortly after having watched the film a couple days ago. But I digress. Fact number 11. Singapore has a 15-story car vending machine. Sure, you could visit a local dealership or perhaps pick up a second-hand sedan from a friend. But if you happen to be in Singapore, you could also grab something from the 15-story vending machine that's filled with Ferraris, Bentleys, and other high-end cars. Gary Hong, the manager of Autobahn Motors, owns the machine, which uses fancy gears and platforms to get any one of the 60 cars down to the ground within minutes. Probably not a very good deal, though. Number 12. Adult cats only meow at humans, not other cats. If you have a chatty cat, then you're well aware of the fact that cats like to strike up a conversation with their human companions whenever they want to be fed or are just looking for some extra attention. But you're probably less likely to see your feline friend interacting the same way with another cat. That's because other than kittens meowing at their mothers, cats don't meow at other cats. I can confirm this from my extensive history with cats. 13. A New Orleans hotel offered $15,000 to stay to a whoever, I don't quite understand the title of this one. A New Orleans hotel offered a $15,000 stay to a whoever stole the most outrageous item from them. I'll read the description. Hopefully that makes it a little bit more cohesive. In March 2019, the Roosevelt Hotel in New Orleans decided to celebrate its 125th anniversary by offering a free 7-night stay in its presidential suite, along with complimentary private dinners and spa treatments worth a whopping $15,000. But this wasn't a standard giveaway. The prize was only available to the person who returned the, quote, most outrageous item ever stolen from the hotel. Interesting. And strange. And apparently a fact. I should have said from the beginning, I haven't actually referenced, I haven't done any of my research as to whether any of these are true or not. So please, if I get something wrong, don't email me telling me how poorly researched I am. If you've listened for any bit of time, you know that research and I don't get along that well, as it pertains to the Random Facts series. 14. Shakespeare's epitaph contains a curse for grave robbers. When William Shakespeare died at 52 years old on April 23, 1616, he was buried in a tomb that featured an epitaph meant to ward off grave robbers. Quote, "Good friend, for Ives' sake forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be ye man, yet spares the stones, and cursed be he who moves my bones." Or more clearly, "Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be the man that moves my bones." 15. The Queen owns all the swans in England. According to British law, any unclaimed swan swimming in the open waters of England and Wales belongs to the Queen. The law originated in medieval times when swans were a delicacy for the wealthy. People used to eat swans. But it still stands today. Queen Elizabeth II also upholds a centuries-old tradition with the swans. Every year, during the third week of July, all the swans in the River Thames are accounted for the queen in a practice called swan upping. I did not know that swans were a delicacy for British elite back in the day. Number 16. A fortune cookie company once foretold the lottery, resulting in 110 winners. In 2005, there were a shocking 110 second-place winners for one Powerball drawing, who all attributed their luck to a fortune cookie. The folks at Powerball were suspicious. However, no foul play was involved. Wonton Food, a Chinese fortune cooking distribution factory in Long Island City, Queens, just so happened to correctly foretell 5 of the 6 winning numbers. Isn't that crazy? Each winner took home between $100,000 and $500,000, depending on how much they bet. That is awesome. '17. The band Hanson made a beer called Hops. In the late 90s, the Hanson brothers burst onto the music scene with their hit Bop. Bop. Not content to leave their catchy, now nostalgic tune in the past, the family teamed up in 2018 to release a pale ale probably called Hops. Isaac Hanson explained to the Daily Mail, quote, "I think I get the credit to some degree, whether it is a good thing or not, of being the first to say it out loud. If we had a Pilsner or an IPA, we need to call it Hops," end quote. Very clever indeed. Very, very clever. 18. Blood donors in Sweden receive a tax when their blood is used. To encourage more young people to donate blood, Sahlgrenska University Hospital in Gothenburg, Sweden, sends a tax to donors when their blood has been dispensed to someone in need. This is the first time I've read that, and I think that is a wonderful idea. Because I think it's not that you want to donate blood and know that you've helped someone right away. I think you give blood knowing that you have the potential to make a significant impact on someone's life down the line. But to kind of get that text and see, hey, I helped someone in need today by taking time out of my day to give blood is, I think, a really neat idea. So, yeah, very neat idea. Number 19. A woman with 2 uteruses gave birth to twins less than a month after having a baby. When most people have a baby, they typically wait a little while before even thinking about having another child. But that wasn't an option for one woman in Bangladesh who unexpectedly gave birth to twins in March 2019, less than a month after having another newborn. The highly unusual circumstances came about due to the fact that the woman has 2 uteruses and both were able to successfully carry the 3 healthy children to term. That's crazy. A meteor exploded over Earth with a force of 10 atomic bombs, and everyone missed it. You'd think if a spatial body met a phenomenally fiery fate right above our heads, we'd notice. But when a meteor hit our atmosphere on December 18th, 2018, and exploded with a force that was 10 times the energy of the Hiroshima atomic bomb, it wasn't discovered by NASA scientists until after the fact. Turns out it went largely undetected because it took place over the Bering Sea in an area that was close, but not directly on, the path of commercial planes flying between North America and Asia. Fact number 21. Tug of war, live pigeon shooting, and pistol dueling were all Olympic events at one point. I will leave that there. 22. Louisiana is home to a rare pink dolphin. It's hard to imagine dolphins being any more wonderful than they already are, but a Louisiana bottlenose dolphin named Pinky is almost too adorable to believe. First spotted in 2007, the unusual creature got its name from its surprising pink color, which is likely the result of a rare genetic condition. Pinky was seen again in 2015 and 2018 while mating. Cool. 23. A moonbow is a rainbow that happens at night. If a storm is passing and the sun starts shining, you might be lucky enough to spot a rainbow. But did you know that you can see something just as amazing at night? While they're incredibly unusual, moonbows, or lunar rainbows, are caused by the reflection, refraction, and dispersion of light and tend to happen most often in places with waterfalls and mist. There also needs to be a near full moon for there to be enough light for you to see the moonbow. 24. The largest margarine sculpture weighs more than 3,000 pounds. Why would anyone make a margarine sculpture? Very interesting. Devrat Arnad Jetagonakar in February 2017 created the largest margarine sculpture ever at a staggering 3,321 pounds in India. The sculpture, which was a replica of the Trimurti of Elephanta, stood 6 feet tall and was 8 feet long. That's crazy. Fact number 25. Bumblebees can fly higher than Mount Everest. 26. The Terminator script sold for $1. The Terminator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton, earned a worldwide total of $78.3 million at the box office in 1984. As it went on, the franchise took in over $1.4 billion. Not bad for a script that sold for a measly $1. Before James Cameron became famous for directing blockbusters like Titanic, he was an unknown filmmaker who had an ambitious idea that became The Terminator. But in order to get his movie made, he handed over the rights of the script for a token amount on the terms that he was allowed to direct the movie. Wow, I didn't know that. 27. If you die in Amsterdam with no next of kin, a poet will pen something to read at your burial. The Lonely Funeral Project set up a network where poets research the deceased and write a poem about the person to read out loud at their burial. 28. The tallest dog ever was a 7-foot Great Dane. Canines come in all shapes and sizes, but none were bigger than Zeus, the Great Dane from Otsego, Michigan. Otsego, Michigan. Took home a Guinness World Record in October 2011 for his unusually massive stature. At the time, he weighed 155 pounds and reached a jaw-dropping 7'4" when standing. Wow. That's crazy. Fact number 29. Scientists discovered an organism with a disappearing bum. That's how they phrase it, not me. The comb jelly, also known as a warty comb jelly, sea walnut, or something, scientific name, has a disappearing bum. Sidney Tam of the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole, Massachusetts, told New Scientist that, quote, there is no documentation of a transient anus in any other animals that I know of. It is not visible when the animal is not pooping. There's no trace under the microscope. It's invisible to me, end quote. That's a nice trivia fact. Name the one species or animal that has a disappearing butt. Number 30. Extreme sitting is a sport. A German sport that was invented in 2007 and is apparently a cross between skateboarding and, well, sitting down. Using a sport hawk, a plastic stool with rubber lining, participants perform tricks and stunts that show off their extreme sitting skills. Wow. Fact number 31. Spider webs were used as bandages in ancient times. In ancient Greece and Rome, doctors used spider webs to make bandages for their patients. Webs supposedly have natural antiseptic and antifungal properties, which can help keep wounds clean and prevent infections. Fact 32. There's a world record for the most people twerking simultaneously. On November 15th, 2014, 406 people came together with Big Freedia at the Central City Festival in New Orleans, Louisiana, to set the world record for the most people twerking simultaneously. Aren't you glad you know that one? Fact 33. In Switzerland, it is illegal to own only one guinea pig. These cute little creatures need social interactions to be happy, so owning a single guinea pig is considered abuse and is forbidden by Swiss law. Guinea pigs grow very attached to their guinea pig partners, and if one dies, its owner needs to get a new one quickly. In fact, there are guinea pig matchmaking agencies in Switzerland for this very reason. Quite the business model. Fact 34. Chewing gum stops you from crying while cutting onions. We all know that chopping onions leads to many tears. That's because the chemicals in onions travel through the air and they hit our nasal cavity or eyes, which causes us to tear up. Chewing gum can help that. That's because the chomping encourages you to breathe through your mouth, so the onion's chemicals won't make it up to your nasal passage. 35. Someone tried to sell New Zealand on eBay. A man from Brisbane, Australia, tried to sell New Zealand off on eBay in 2006. The listing described the country as, quote, the dodgiest American Cup win ever, and said it has, quote, very ordinary weather, end quote. Despite those selling points, the ridiculous auction gained a ton of interest. The starting bid was 1 cent, and after 6,000 hits and 22 bids, the selling price for New Zealand climbed all the way to $3,000. Eventually, eBay caught wind of the auction and pulled it from its site. 36. A London tomb is supposedly a time machine or teleportation chamber. And I accidentally forgot to copy and paste the description, so that'll be a little bit of extra research for you later if you're interested in learning more about these London tombs that apparently are time machines. Fact 37. Sumo wrestlers make babies cry for good luck. Apparently, it is a 400-year-old Japanese tradition that if a sumo wrestler can make your baby cry, it means he or she will live a healthy life. So during a special ceremony, parents hand over their infants to sumo wrestlers who bounce their precious tots up and down and sometimes will even roar in their little faces to get the tears flowing. 38. A woman who lost her wedding ring found it 16 years later on a carrot in her garden. A woman in Sweden lost her wedding ring while cooking for Christmas in 1995. She couldn't find it until 2012. While gardening 16 years later, the woman found the ring around a carrot that was sprouting in the middle of it. The only explanation was that the ring must have been lost in vegetable peelings that were turned into compost. Clearly, composting isn't just good for the environment. Fact number 39. 1/4 of all of your bones are located in your feet. There are 26 bones and 33 joints in each foot. That's 52 bones in both feet, out of 206 total bones in your whole body, which is more than 25%. 40. Movie trailers were originally shown after the movie. Did you know that they used to be shown after the feature film in the early 1900s? That's how they got the name trailers. But because many people leave when the feature film's credits start rolling, trailers started playing before the feature film, so as to reach maximum attention from the viewers. 41. ABBA, the band ABBA, turned down $1 billion to do a reunion tour. The Swedish pop group ABBA, who sang the 1970s mega hits Mamma Mia and Dancing Queen, is one of the best-selling groups of all time. Unfortunately, the band broke up in 1982, but their songs continue to be pop culture favorites. In 2000, an American-British consortium offered $250 million to each of the group's 4 members to reunite, but they turned down the $1 million offer. It's crazy. 42. The chicken came before the egg. Astrophysicist Stephen Hawking believed the egg came first, but in 2010, British scientists claimed to have come up with a final answer. They identified the protein, and they give us the name of the protein, which I can't pronounce, that is required to speed up the production of an eggshell within the chicken. In 24 hours, the egg is ready to be laid. This proves that an egg cannot be produced without a chicken, so therefore the chicken had to come first. 43. Crying makes you feel happier. Tears contain stress hormones which leave the body through crying. Studies suggest that crying stimulates the production of endorphins, our body's natural painkiller, and feel-good hormones like oxytocin. 44. Cherophobia is a fear of happiness. Yes, that does exist. 45. International astronauts must be able to speak Russian. As the International Space Station has modules and operations in Russian, all astronauts going to the ISS must know how to speak Russian. Some astronauts have claimed that learning the language was the biggest challenge of their training. According to the U.S. State Department of Foreign Service Institute, English-speaking astronauts can expect to spend 1,100 class hours to reach a reasonable level of fluency in Russian. It's a lot of hours. That is twice as many hours as it typically takes to learn other languages like French, Spanish, and Dutch. 46. The electric chair was invented by a dentist. In 1881, dentist Alfred Southwick witnessed a drunk man die quickly after touching a live electric generator. Southwick soon realized electricity could be a quick and more humane alternative for executions. 47. Even the man who created Comic Sans only used it once. Comic Sans is an iconic, cute, upbeat, informal font, but also comes across as immature and unprofessional, and has been called the world's most hated font. Comic Sans was designed by Vincent Conner in 1995, but even he isn't a fan. Quote, I've only ever used Comic Sans once. I was having trouble changing my broadband to Sky, so wrote them a letter in Comic Sans. End quote. Fact 48. At least one of the colors of the Olympic flag appears on all the national flags. And finally, to conclude with 49 random facts, we reach fact number 49. Australia has pink and purple lakes. Lake Hillier sits on the edge of Middle Island, which is off the coast of Western Australia. It's known for its vibrant pink color, which is due to the presence of algae, the algae Dunalea salina. It causes the lake's salt content to create a red dye, which helps produce its bubblegum color. And there you go. 49 very wacky out there facts for your rest and relaxation. If you have any questions, comments about any of the facts mentioned in this episode, you can always email me at hello@sleepandrelaxasmr.com. And of course, you can always email me if you have any general questions or comments. That's all for this episode. Thanks as always for listening, and take care.